We told you about the no-go zones, Muslim-controlled areas in and around Paris. But these microstates, typically off-limits to non-Muslims, are not limited to France. They're spreading across the globe. Well, the U.S., nearly 24 enclaves have popped up in 9 states belonging to Muslims of the Americas. It's a radical group linked to Pakistani militants.
So have we opened the door to homegrown terror attacks by allowing suspected extremist groups to set up camp? Joining us now is Mauro. He's a security analyst at Clarion Project. He's been tracking these Muslims of America's groups. Nice to see you this morning, Ryan. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So you've been tracking these things. Where are they?
They're across the country. Earlier this year, we broke the story the Clarion Project did on Fox and Friends about how we had identified one of their jihadist enclaves in Texas. We now know of one in Alaska. They're in South Carolina, Virginia. They're throughout the country. They say they have 22 of these so-called Islamic villages. And this is a very radical group that's also a bit of a cult because they believe that their leader in Pakistan, Sheikh Jilani, is capable of doing miracles. They even have a holy fax machine in South Carolina.
Well, any fax machine that works is holy.
So these groups are all connected to one another. It's called Muslims in America. Presumably, they're being watched, I would assume, by the U.S. government?
It's called Muslims of the Americas. It's an entity of a Pakistani group called ul-Fuqra, which they're not going to operate under that name here in the U.S. They want something that sounds nicer. There's a quote from their leader saying, make sure you use nice words when you're preaching to your enemy. And so they try to clean up their image. They've even set up an interfaith front group to reach out to Christians so that they can appear moderate. But yes, they're all connected. They all follow this same spiritual leader. And the video that's on the screen right now was given to the Clarion Project by a law enforcement source. That's guerrilla warfare training at their headquarters called Islamberg in New York State.
That's in New York State, in Hancock, New York?
That's right.
Hancock, New York. Unbelievable. So should we be concerned?
Definitely, and that's just not my analysis. We also have declassified FBI documents where they say this is a group that believes in jihad against the U.S. government, and this group fits the qualifications to be designated as a foreign terrorist organization. That's how they're able to operate legally in the U.S. They've been viewed as a domestic organization, but if they were labeled as a foreign terrorist organization, it would be illegal for them to operate. And by the way, we have a dozen Muslim groups in North America that have endorsed our initiative to say that this group should be banned.
So this group, this constellation of radical groups, presumably it's mostly foreign-born?
Actually, the vast majority of them are American-born. They recruit in the prison system, primarily African-American, but they have a leader in Pakistan who they basically worship.
Have there been any ties, we know this Pakistani militant group, but to any homegrown terrorism activities that we've been reporting on here in the United States, any of the things out of Boston, any links across the country in any of these groups to those events?
Not those specific ones, but over the years, members of this organization have been involved in various terror plots. They had basically a terrorist camp in Colorado in the early 1990s that was shut down because of its involvement in terrorism, targeting rival Muslims, trying to carry out a massive bomb plot in Canada. And again, according to the FBI documents that we possess, they outline how they've engaged in terrorism on American soil, on Canadian soil.
It's fascinating. Unbelievable.
Ryan Mauro, on the case. Thanks.
Ryan,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.